Welcome, everybody. This is Tommy's Outdoor Podcast, and today we're going to talk about very popular outdoor activity, running. My guest today is Mike Kissane. How you doing, Mike?
Hi, Tommy.
Thanks for accepting invite to the podcast.
My pleasure.
This is one of the first episodes of the podcast, and I think that running is very popular. A lot of people are into running, and you are a self-declared born to run person. So I'm sure you have a lot of stories to share and a lot of information to share with our listeners. Without further ado, let's get going. So I suppose the first question that I always, it has to be asked, how it all started. And I think I'm not gonna say anything, not, that is secret. You wrote a article or many articles in the press that you were kind of telling about that story, and I think that's just amazing story. So maybe you can share a little bit of that with our listeners.
Sure. I suppose running for me started very late in life. Really, it was a case that when I was young, I was overweight because I didn't realize I was allergic to gluten, which took a lot of energy out of me. And essentially running down to the bedroom was too much, but luckily enough I got that started when I was around 21, 22. And all of a sudden, when you do have energy levels and, you can get out there and run, you get to enjoy it a bit more, I think, when it's not forced in you.
When you look at Mike, you wouldn't say that he was overweight. Come on.
Well, maybe not now, but at my height I was around 16, just over 16 stone, so...
Yeah, just for the listeners, I have no idea how much is stone. How much is stone? So
stone is 14 pounds, which is I'd have to get my calculator out for a kilogram. I think it's 2.2 kilograms or 2.2 pound in a kilogram.
Okay,
something like that. So
it was like close to 90 kilograms.
Yeah, or would have been. Yeah, absolutely,
right.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
good.
It was good amount of lug to be carrying across.
Good times.
Absolutely. But so like that, it's like anything in life, when someone forces something on you, and I think when we were young in Ireland, you're forced to go play football, you're forced to go out to this, forced to go out to that, and if you enjoy it, that's great, but you get an appreciation as you get older for doing these things, and because I wasn't really able to do them at a younger age, and kind of struggled at them when I did, we'll say, unshackle myself.
I meet you there. I never liked play football, and that was like, oh my god, So I always was trying to do that, but I was never good at it. And I was like, jeez.
Absolutely, yeah. And I suppose that's the point, like that. You get to choose and pick and choose your sports, but it's only the ones you like that you fall into. And like that, I suppose when I started running, that was it. It was a case that I enjoyed it. It was great time alone. I found very quickly that it forced you to have that little bit of headspace that you wouldn't normally grant yourself. Whether it be for 20 minutes, for half an hour, whether it's a bit longer. As you get more used to it, it's definitely something, an advantage and almost a trait of that sport that's just second to none.
Yeah.
But I suppose going back to it, where it all started, I would just tipped along, went for my 2 mile runs, my bits and pieces. I remember I moved to Dublin in 2002, I think it was, and late 2002 actually, and I was sitting down about a year later, and actually it was 2002. I was sitting down watching or eating inside the chipper, as you do, minding my own business.
And that's an exciting story.
It is.
I remember that.
There I was, reading the paper, like I said, and you just general blasé, what's going on around you. You're not even aware of what's going on outside the window. And as I did notice, there was a lot of people around the place, coming up and down O'Connell Street in Dublin. And
maybe you want to just bring it a little bit closer to you, because
no trouble. So there I was, looking out, watching these people kind of stream down O'Connell Street in Dublin, and all of a sudden, you're looking at all types of people. You're looking at kind of big guys, small guys, women, young people, old people. There was a huge array. Lads dressed up as Eiffel Towers, this kind of thing,
Right. Some sort of a charity or anything like that,
Well,
dress up as sharks,
yeah.
and bees and bumblebees and all that
But
kind of.
you had your serious athletes there too, and I mean, when I say serious athlete, you're talking about people who are running their hardest to break something like 5 hours in a marathon, and to them that's a serious effort, because that's their ability, and they're going as hard as they can. They're not taking it easy. But I do remember at the time, and it was a real turner for me, just watching this guy. This is, like I say, he must have been 20 stone if he was more. And this guy is coming down against me, and he's lumbering down.
So you were 16 and he was like 20.
Yeah. Well, no, at this stage, no, I had lost some bit of weight, so
Right.
I wasn't as big, but I could definitely empathise with him. So this guy's coming down against me, and he's not sprinting, he's not running per se, but he isn't walking. He's making an effort. He's jogging. The legs are going. He's got some bit of cadence going. And every part of him is moving.
Just by the way, 20 stones is 130 kilograms.
130. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lug.
So just for the record, you said you've been 16 stones by then at the time. So it's like 101 kilograms.
Oh,
yeah.
lovely.
We were 10 kilos off.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway,
But,
so you see this big guy.
So this guy's coming down against me, and he just stands out, because everyone else is.
Because he's so big.
He's so big, yeah, absolutely. He just stands out, and he's coming down, and it's almost hypnotic the way he's kind of, his folds are kind of wobbling away in the autumn sunshine. But he comes down past me, and he finally the penny dropped. I said, "Oh, hang on, they've got bibs on, they've got numbers on. There's something going on here." And of course, you just realise it's October. This is the marathon, of course. How did I miss it? That's fine. So you're looking at it, and just as he's passing me, I'm looking at a poll and it says 25 or something like that. I'm kind of going, hang on a sec, 25? That's 25 miles.
Yeah.
You're kind of going, he's 1 mile away, 1.2 miles away from finishing a marathon. I'm 4 chips away from finishing a big fatty meal. And really does. It puts it in the context, and you're sitting there going, this guy's obviously trained. He's obviously broken himself open, and he's about to finish and cross over the marathon finish line.
Yeah.
And I mean, it really is. It's amazing to think of it, and you're sitting there going, okay, not belittling his effort, but if this man can do it, I can certainly do it. So that's really what planted the seed in my head to go out there and what you call them train.
So before that, you were not in athletics nor in any sport.
Not really, no. Like I say, when I was in school,
what age you were at there?
I was was I 23, 24?
Okay.
About that.
Okay.
And like I say, the only thing I'd ever done in any earnest for running was probably a bit of cross country.
Right.
That was about it.
So it was like an off-road running.
Off-road running, yeah. Never really hit the road. Didn't have the stamina at the time. Like I say, when you're eating the wrong stuff and your body is fighting the food inside in your own system, as opposed to being able to exert any energy for running or any bit of a sport, it's just impossible. So, like I say, any attempt I did at sport, whether it be indoor soccer or soccer in general or anything, it was only kind of half-hearted. So, this was really kind of the start of it. Like I say, I had joined the gym, and I was losing weight because I'd been on the diet for about a year before that.
Okay. And what you were doing in the gym? Was it like a general weightlifting?
No, I kept away from the weights. It was mainly kind of using the cross trainer, small bit of running on the treadmill.
Okay, so like a cardio machine.
A lot of cardio, and then an awful lot of swimming as well.
Awesome.
I'd usually go for about...
Are you still swimming?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
No, but I do intend on getting back. I love swimming.
All right, awesome.
Swimming is the running of the sea.
Oh yeah, exactly. I started swimming last year, and I kind of can get back to swimming because I was swimming as a kid.
Yeah.
And so like last year I had to take a break from cycling because of the injuries, and I was like, all right, what are you going to do? Oh, go swimming because that's good for you. So we may talk about it later.
Sure, that's great. But like that, when I did start running like that before, and even with the treadmill while I was in the gym, I found again it was a different lease of life because now I was able to actually run, and not be fighting something other than my legs or my tiredness. You know, it was, you know, or that was all that was there. You know, there was no gut, there was no just general fatigue behind it. You know, and no feeling of malaise. So yeah, like that. You know, one foot in front of the other. Started small. Started, you know, going out 2 miles at a time, going out maybe 3 nights a week. Maybe raising
so
it up, you know?
so you were at the gym, you know, you were doing your cardio at the gym, and it was like, okay, to control my storage body fat.
Yeah.
Right. And we are athletes here, so we're using proper terminology. Right. This is storage body fat as opposed to essential body fat. Right,
yes.
People. So, and then you see this massively obese guy who is just about to accomplish, you know, something that you said like, oh yeah, wow, he's a marathon runner, right? So what changed in your training regime from that point? So you dropped the gym and you start going outside running, or you just...
Yeah, I did essentially. Now, my gym time had been curtailed probably when I made the move from Limerick to Dublin. Okay, and that was around, like I say, around 2002. This was only maybe about a month or so before I'd moved to Dublin.
Yeah.
So with the move, my gym privileges went, you know, so, you know, I was a member of a gym in Limerick. Going to Dublin, it was more a case of trying to find a job and trying to get myself set up there.
Yeah, so life got in the way.
Life got in the way of the gym, you know, absolutely. And in the absence of paying extortionate fees for a gym in Dublin, you know, all of a sudden the thoughts of putting 2 runners on a foot or on your feet and just hitting the road, you know, it's there, it's accessible, it's easy, it's, you know, it's stress relief, you know. Which
that's a great thing about sports like running or even martial arts, that really all you need is your body and, you know, some space, field or street, and you're good to go.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Now it may be what you call it. That's probably evolved as my beliefs and my experience have gone on. That
you know, you need to then a special pair of runners.
Yeah, and you gotta get
and all the foot pods and power meters and all the you know, fancy equipment.
Exactly,
right.
But
you can always do that.
Yeah, but you ask any amateur runner, any guy who started from scratch, he'll tell you the same thing. He stuck on a pair of runners and he just hit the street. You know, he just ran. You know, that's where the learning comes from. You know, but so yeah, what you call it, it just grew from there, really. Like I say, you just go out, you run a couple of miles a week, just get in there, get the base training going.
And is when you saw these guys, was your goal that, like, I want to complete the marathon, or was it like...
It was, yeah, it snapped straight to marathon.
Okay, so it's like, okay, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. And maybe it was the occasion, like I say, you're looking around, you know, there's balloons everywhere, there's crowds cheering, you know, but you're kind of looking at it going, you know, it's almost, like I said, the enormity of what that guy did, you couldn't think about doing anything less, you know.
Got it.
You know, he's done it, so why can't I, you know?
Yes.
So that was it.
So essentially you said, like, okay, I have a 1 year
absolutely
to go from the point where I am now to where this guy is.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
And was it like any structured training protocol, anything like that, or were you just like, all right, I'm gonna be running more and it will work out?
I suppose initially it didn't have a structure. It definitely grew into a structure now, a rather haphazard structure in the end, you know, due to inexperience. But I had put it in my head that I would just hit the road, and I wanted to be able to hit the road and be comfortable out there, even with short mileage, you know, just to, like that, get out the door. I always find, and I always say to the guys that are new to running, it's not being on the road. Being on the road is fine. No one's ever going to complain about that. It's getting out the door of your house, you know. Yeah. On the wet evenings, on the windy evenings, and evenings there's a match on, or you just don't want to, you know, it's put on the runners, put on the shorts and open that door and get out. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get rid of the fear of not doing it, you know, and just want to do it, fall in love with it. So that's where I kind of put my metronome of, okay, Monday evening I'm going for 2 or 3 miles, Wednesday evening I'm going for 2 or 3 miles, Friday evening I'm going for 2 or 3 miles. And if Friday evening meant that I didn't go to the pub until an hour or two later, so be it, because I was getting...
But you still were going to...
No, I was still going. Come on, I was 24, 25, you know.
Yes, of course.
Young in Dublin, single, you know, what else was I going to do? So, but definitely, I suppose, when it comes to structure around that was as much as I put into it. It was a case of, I just want to start, see where we go, let's get to a certain degree of fitness on the road itself as opposed to treadmill, because you know yourself, treadmill is just a big dirty lie when it comes to runners. You can run a 2.5 minute PB on there, and that just won't translate to the road.
Maybe let's explain that to our listeners. The difference between running on the treadmill and running on the street, like in reality. Is it like you're not pressing yourself hard enough on the same on the treadmill as you do on the road?
I suppose to me, and it's a discussion that some of my faster friends actually and I have had as well, and we all tend to come to the same conclusion that
did you get that faster friends?
Faster, yeah, they're faster.
Yeah. Do you have also slower friends?
Yes, I do.
All right. So I'm one of them, right? I'm slower friend.
I would put myself in the kind of if I was a steak, I'd be medium rare.
All right, the best one, just how I like it.
But we do tend to see the treadmill as, yes, it's great for cardio. You can get an exercise there, and it's about getting the cadence. You can get your legs spinning fine. But every one of us agree that when you're on a treadmill, you jump. You end up going up and down, up and down. Your legs are spinning, but you're pushing yourself up and down, rather being on the road where you're pushing yourself forward.
Right.
Okay, so you will always find that your quads get sore on a treadmill, but your calves get sore on the road.
Right. So in other words, it's kind of like the surface that you're running is moving underneath you, rather than you moving over the surface.
Exactly. You're like that. If you're running on the road, the friction is there between your foot and the road the whole time, and when you push forward, you're only propelling yourself forward. On the treadmill, you can put that guy up to the top speed, and the higher you jump, the more road travels underneath you before the next time you come down the step.
Yeah. And is that something that can be alleviated with the new, highest and latest, greatest high-tech treadmills, or is it just like inherently how that machine works?
I think they do.
And is there any concern for the so-called fitness companies that are producing those machines? Is that even an issue?
I don't think they really take that on board. To me, a treadmill, it's more of a kind of a generic consumer item.
Yeah.
Rather than a fitness tool.
So in other words, runners like you, they know what comes with the treadmill, and they use it for that purpose, knowing what that is.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Other training you got to do on the road.
You got to hit the road.
And the other, like consumers, they don't know or don't care.
They don't.
Right? They just watching TV.
Exactly. It's a means to an end. It's raining outside. You want to stay inside and watch the match. You want to watch Coronation Street. Stick it on. Go for your run. It's fine. Like I say, it's better than sitting down doing nothing. I'm not knocking it. They're still very valuable tools.
Yeah, but it's not the tool. Like for example, if you talk about cycling, right, and you have a indoor trainers, and you see really professional athletes who spend their entire preparation for the race on the trainer.
Oh, the turbo trainer.
And there's a lot of training plans and so on, and then going on the actual event, and they're winning the event, or so there's no worse or even better when it comes to structure. You can do full training indoor on the trainer on the bike. That's not the case with running. You cannot do that on the treadmill. That's what I'm getting. You have to actually there's no substitute.
I don't believe so. Not for road running. No, I don't do track running. I don't know whether that would maybe come in between. Track running, you have a different surface again. You have a more bouncier surface.
But still, you need to press.
You still
press
need to press
forward.
You do. However, like I said, the bounce you get off the track. Even when I do run on the track, I can go faster on the track than I can on the road.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely. And
so is it like a surface of the track kind of returning more energy back to you?
Absolutely. The more you push down, the more you're going to get back from it. And you find now inherently you get to track. The first thing you're going to do is try and go a bit faster anyway, because it's a track.
Yeah, of course it's a track. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, you're gonna burn it up. But you do find that you get more response from the track than the road. Okay. Even roads. You can find running on the pavement versus running on tarmac. Tarmac is a much easier surface to run on, even though it's not going to be as flat or as smooth. There's definitely a better feeling, a better return almost cushioning it than
Right.
than
Is it
concrete.
like a different type of runners that you use for different surfaces, or is it like almost like a tires on a bike or on a car? Like for this surface, I have this part of runners, and for this surface, I do whatever.
Personally, I don't. I wouldn't say that other runners may not have that or have that in their head. I haven't come across it, and I don't know of anyone who's come across it, to be honest.
Okay.
You know, but placebos are great. If you think it's going to make you run faster, then
Another
go
point
for
to
it.
our listeners: if you know anything or if you have any comments, please leave the comments about the different type of runners depending on the surface. That's a subject. So if you have any experience with that, do let us know, and we may repost or recomment that.
Excellent, yeah.
So anyway, there was a little bit of a segue for technical, geeky stuff. So you're essentially preparing for that for your first marathon, and you're doing a lot of running on the road, not on the treadmill.
Yep.
And what's happening next?
What's happening? So, like I say, I'm going through the kind of the winter months. This all happened around late October. So all of a sudden, that's the weekend every year as well. Actually, that they turn the clocks. So all of a sudden, you've lost an hour of light in the evening. Thanks to the farmers, and it's dark in the evening, and you're ploughing along. And again, goes back to the whole idea of it's tough to get out there. When there's no light there, it's dark. You come home from work. You want to settle in for the night. It was a case of just get through November, get through December. We got through January, and probably until the hour came back, that we got a bit of longer evenings. Then all of a sudden it was a case of, well, maybe we'll start go exploring. So as opposed to I'm doing 3 miles today, 3 miles 2 days time, I might stick another run in on a Thursday or something like that for 3 miles. It was a case of, right, let's get off the speeding track. Let's get off this metronome. The base is there. We know we can run.
Almost like a base and then build, go into the build phase.
That's exactly what it was. It was the getting comfortable phase, and I suppose even with that, and I'm not making light of 3 miles, because 3 miles is a long way for a lot of people. But initially, 3 miles 3 times a week, I would be sore. My legs would be sore, they'd be aching.
And then you kind of got like, all right, this is 3 miles. Not a big deal.
But that's just it. You break through it to the point where you can run 3 miles easy. You're not sore. You're not out of breath.
So you need to challenge yourself in order to make a progress.
So then, like I say, we got a bit of extra time in the evening, so you start, changing the route. You can go down streets that you wouldn't have had before because it was too dark, and what's down here and what's over here, and all of a sudden you're kind of just teasing out, what can I do here? And you find that you got 4 miles, and then all of a sudden you're in a 5 mile route, and that's fine. And again, even when you go to the 4 miles, that's a big jump, an extra mile to what you're used to. You still have to go through a week or so of running at that to kind of break through and go, look, I'm not sore after this. Same with the 5 miles. And I suppose I kept going at tipping through it, and probably heading into around March or April at this stage, and at the same time you're looking at about 20 miles a week there if you're running 4 times, and don't forget, this is only within the working week, because I used to come up and down to Kerry from Dublin every weekend. So that weekend there was no running involved in that. It was just non-stop driving back before motorway days. So tipped along like that. And then I remember I was actually staying up on weekend, and I went out, and I was up to 5 miles at this stage, and I went out on a Sunday, and I went for a run. It was a gorgeous day. It's one of those kind of summer days that came in the middle of spring that just typical Irish weather, where you kind of go, where the hell did this come out of? And I remember just starting off running and got to the end of the 5 miles, and I was kind of going,
that was easy.
Yeah, it's a nice day. I have nothing else to do. It's a Sunday afternoon. Let's just go for another mile. And I went for another mile, and fair enough, I got to the end of that mile, and I said, oh, hang on, I'm a mile away from where I started, which means I have to do 2 miles extra, And I said, but I feel great. So I said, let's go again. We went another mile. I went a small bit further, and then all of a sudden, I'm okay. I'm approximating now because I did do the distance afterwards, But I was that little bit extra, and I came back and I said, right, okay, now I have to run back this way again. Now I admit it was slow, but all of a sudden you come back, and you finish it.
Yeah, you kind of break that mental
You
barrier.
do, and that's exactly it. Oh, I could have thrown a party that evening. You know, I was there. I was Rocky at the top of the steps at the end of it. You know, I was pat myself in the back. I was delighted, big smile on my face, and you know, and I went back and like I said, I didn't have a Garmin back then. I was going on to. I don't even know what it was. It was a MapQuest or something, you know, plotting out where I ran because you couldn't get the distance.
Yeah.
And, you know, and whatever utility it was, I remember looking at it, goes, yeah, that's just over 10 miles. You know, that's double figures. And all of a sudden you're kind of going, hang on now a minute, I'm after going from 5 miles to double figures, you know. That's a huge jump, you know, massive jump. And really then at that stage, the belief starts setting in. Because you're gone from just, you know, we'll see where we are, can we run, to really serious figures now, you know, 10 miles. So that was it. Like I said, that was around the start of summer, in the spring, start of summer. And on the Monday morning, so that was the Sunday, the next day, I signed up for the Dublin City Marathon online for the 2003 one. Signed up, I said, right, my money's paid, I have to do it now. You know, that's just Irish, you know, the very minute you pay for it, you have to do it regardless, you know, because we're, you know, okay, I won't generalise, but we're cheap. But I did that, and the next thing I did was I walked into the sports store above in the Blackrock Shopping Centre, and I said, I need a pair of runners, I'm going to run the Dublin City Marathon. And the guy went, okay, no trouble, and he sat me down and fitted me with a pair of what was it, Asics. I think it was GT 2160s at the time, you know, and they were the shoes. Yeah, put them on, and then all of a sudden, you know, the training started to get a bit more structured, a bit more serious, you know, whereby.
That's the question on the shoes, because were there like these big fat padded shoes, or they were like a light with almost?
No, they were fat, and they were padded. They were. I think, luckily enough, the sports store I went to. Whereas I'd kind of get through the look of bemusement on the shop assistant's face, he was knowledgeable about what he was doing, his trade, more often than not.
So is it like more experienced runners, they need to have like a lighter shoes with less padding, while the people who are just beginning stuff,
No, that's not necessarily true. It all comes down to the gait of your foot, comes down to how you land, and the strength and basically the makeup of your foot, you know. Myself, I'm an overpronator, so my leg tends to collapse in, you know, and I need support. I definitely need support in the instep of both feet, you know. Now, when I think he saw that first day as well, he could see by my runners, because the first thing he asked for, he said, show me your runners. He looked at the wear in them just from general walking, and he went, okay. Yeah. So
he looks like, okay, what's your how
you
wearing the shoes?
And fair dues to the guy. I mean, like I say, you can even to today, and I've been party to this over the last couple of years, where you walk into a shoe store saying, right, I want to buy a pair of runners, you know, and you know, and they come with the 180 quid runners, and you're kind of going, what are these? And they go, oh well, they're the best, they're the most expensive. You're like, yeah, whatever, you know. So but like that, you know, this guy, he applied his knowledge. He gave me a pair of shoes, which in fairness were very, very good, you know. And I must admit, I stayed with Asics for a long time after it. But you know, these are the shoes I put on. You know, these are the shoes I started training in, you know. And he probably saved me in one sense, because the shoes I had been running on up to then were definitely incorrect. They were just a generic pair bought inside in a sports store. Yeah. And actually, coincidentally, they were the runners I'd on when I walked into him, and he just showed me how my whole foot was.
What's wrong with them?
They were just what you call, they were soft on one. Well, they'd been worn away on one side. There was no support, you know. And then he's saying, you know, it's fine running 2-3 miles in this, you know, but as you get tired in a
you're gonna put 100 miles in them.
You know, you're gonna put much more than 100 miles, you know, over the course of the training, you know. But even in a race, you know, and we all know this from when we're running, your form was great at the start, but
then you're falling apart.
You're going to get tired.
Once the tiredness kicks in, your form
falls, your feet lag. All of a sudden, the muscles in your ankles aren't as strong as they were. You know, your shoulders are down. Everything is just going, and it's at that stage where you need that extra support, because when your feet start falling in, you're going to start getting cramps, you're going to start getting tendon injuries, you know, and just general soreness, you know. So that's really where you need to have the right shoe, and this is where this guy really kind of jumped in there. So,
all right.
You know.
So you walked away with a nice pair of proper runners, and then we started like serious training.
Well, serious training. So the serious training the serious training for that really kind of jumped into initially that little 10-mile run. I always stick a 10-mile run in. And then there was a couple of 5 miles maybe, and then, you know, like you'd have your 2 or 3 miles. So by accident, I was actually doing a good training session. There was no speed work or anything like that. You know, it was never about speed. It was just about getting the miles, making sure I could do it. You know, you know, and in the back of your head, you're dreaming maybe I could actually win the bloody thing. You know, if I keep going the way I'm going. But so like I say, inadvertently, it was nicely structured. That kept going. You know, again throughout the summer. Now the summer, you know yourself, you know, you've got barbecues to go to, you've got this to go to, that to go to, so it becomes actually a little bit tougher. As much as I said about the extra light, your schedule just gets busy, but I kept it going, and that was fine, you know. And I'm losing weight, like I say, as I'm training, you know. I remember that summer I was down to, I was at 10 stone 5 at my lowest, you know, which is, you know, going from 16 stone to 10 stone 5 is a huge drop, you know. But running away there, and then panic kicked in. Okay.
When's then?
Then is the
2 months.
2 months before the marathon.
All right.
So you have all of October and you have all of September. So just around the end of August.
And you're like, oh crap, this is happening.
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of
it's like I need to climb that mountain.
Exactly. I need to get myself fit, because the panic kind of kicked in with a tinge of almost greed, because now I knew I could run. I didn't know I could run 26 miles, but I was going to myself, I am able to do it. Maybe I should actually start training for a time, you know? So
okay, next level.
How fast can we do it? You know, I hadn't even run one yet.
Next
And
level.
I'm kind of going, how fast can I run this? So, yeah, I got a bit insane, really, for the next 2 months, whereby my training plan was I would run 11 miles, which was Ranelagh to Blackrock, down the dual carriageway and back up the Rock Road. So that was about 11 miles, just under maybe. I would do that at least 5 nights a week.
Right.
With no break.
Right.
You know, so I might come up on a Sunday evening, do it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And if I went home the weekend, that was a break, all right. But if I didn't go home the weekend, I'd run the 6th day, you know. And then I'd have 1 day off, you know. Invariably, that was Sunday because I went out on Saturday night. But that went on. And looking back in it, I remember at the time, it was, you know, something, it was easy. It was great. I had something to go for. I had a goal. And the body wasn't in shock because, you know yourself.
Because you were in your early 20s.
Absolutely.
That's why you regenerate quickly, and you know it's like, oh wow.
But you know yourself,
you're kind of at your prime when it comes to regenerating and recuperation after training.
Absolutely. You could bounce back energy wise.
Yeah.
Unfortunately though, you know yourself, you get injured, you don't feel that for a while. And I suppose the timeline I remember of those kind of 2 months training, I got 4 solid weeks of that kind of running. And then I said, right, it's time to go for long runs. Now this is 4 weeks before the marathon.
Yeah.
You know, so I said, right, I'm going to do that on a Saturday. I'm going to do it twice. I'm going to run 22 miles. So I went out and I did it. And I went out the first time and I came back. And I went out the second time and I got to Blackrock. And I turned around and I went for home and there was nothing. So I'm 5.5 miles from home and there's nothing left in the system. I was 5.5 weeks of pure energy expended. Done. Everything was gone. You know? Right. So at that stage,
you hit that rock bottom.
I hit that wall hard, you know, and it was just culmination of all of it. You know, so I was kind of going, okay, I had to kind of walk home and jog home, and I was kind of going, this is all over. The dream is over now, you know, I can't do it anymore. But in fairness, I suppose I kind of copped onto myself a bit over the next week or so, because I definitely hadn't been eating right up till then. How could you, you know, because, you know, you're going to work, you're coming home, you're running all night, you know, you're eating a bit and then you're going to bed, you know. So I was obviously lacking on what I was eating. So I started to eat a little bit better, you know. I started to get my carbohydrates coming into me, more protein, bit of, you know, get your meat and get your eggs in there. And it seemed to work, you know. The energy level started coming up again, you know. And in saying that,
Did you back off a little bit with
I
training?
I did for the next week. I backed off the mileage, all right. But in saying that, I was still running probably, as opposed to 5 nights a week, I might run 3 nights a week at the 10 miles and stick two short runs in. But the thing that kind of helped me along the way was I slowed down.
Yeah.
Okay, I said, right, enough of the speed, enough of killing yourself and trying to prove a PB every night. Come back, reel it in, and we'll see where we can go from there.
And was that like a conscious decision what you're saying right now, or was it like this? It just happened.
I think it was just a snap decision. I think he may not have been conscious.
I would say there was fairly, you know, kind of mature type of thinking for the 20-something guy. Like, okay, I'm gonna back down. I'm gonna like so that was.
It was more out of necessity rather than
right,
a strategic plan to do it. You know, I think I knew inherently that the body had to do something, or I wouldn't have made it. So, but yeah, I pulled it back, and you know, sure enough, like I said, I got it up again, and I went out, you know, like a week and a half later, and I said, I'm going to attack this 22 miler again. It's 2 weeks before Dublin. I'm going to do this long run again, and we'll see where we go. You know, bit more energy, bit more rest, bit better nutrition involved. And sure enough, I went out that Saturday for the 22 miler, and I went out, no trouble, came back to the house, no trouble, went out the second time and came back. And at 22 miles, I had it done in about 3 hours, 45 minutes, you know.
Wow.
And, you know, to me, I was like, spectacular. This is it.
Yeah.
You know, now I know I can do it. You know, I've got my path to get over the line. You know, and that was it really. And really, then it was just a case of, okay, I suppose my taper was taking about 2 days off beforehand. It wasn't a case of pulling down. You know, it was just stop day. You know, again, it's school by errors and just an experience. But yeah, it was just the lead up then really to the marathon was the kind of the main thing after that.
All right. And how did it go?
It went. It's probably a tangent story the day of the marathon, but during my training, a friend of mine said he'd run the marathon as well. Now, as mad as I was, this guy was worse because he came for 3 training sessions with me. Okay. One was one of my 11 milers. One was a 6 miler, and the other one was something like a 7 miler.
Yeah.
That's what he did for the marathon.
The entire
marathon, yeah.
All
that was
right.
his training.
All right.
Now this guy is a natural, you know, athletic guy anyway.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's still crazy amount of training. So the day of the marathon, we went out and I said I'd stay with him as long as I could, you know, just to keep going. And he was slower than me, which in its own right was a great thing because it kept me at a great pace. You know, kept me under control.
So you did not burn yourself?
I didn't burn out to start. So we went off, and around 10 miles into it, I remember we were out at the Phoenix Park, we were heading towards Crumlin, and he just kind of said, I'm stopping for a break, you know, I'm just going to take it easy, you know, because I think he was starting to feel the burn at that stage. I said, okay, well, look, I'm going to keep going, and I'll see you it didn't, you know. And it really did crown me because all of a sudden, I was almost starting at mile 10. You know, because I'm back on my own now. Well, of course, with whatever 15,000 people, but you know, I'm there. I'm starting to think for myself. I'm just about to get to the halfway line. You know, I'm 5k away from there. So I get to there all of a sudden, and you know, I'm tipping along, and you're running through it, and all of a sudden you're kind of going, I feel better and better and better and better, and. In fairness, it's a long time ago, and I am missing the kind of the 13 to maybe 19 mile mark of that, you know. But I don't ever remember feeling really uncomfortable during that marathon. You know, I kept a great pace. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I did a negative split that day. I was about a minute quicker in the second half than I was in the first half. Yeah, you know, and I came over the line in
because you were running with that guy,
exactly,
which was slowing you down.
And just to put it into context, I did that first marathon in just under 3 hours 52 minutes. Oh. You know, which was 7 minutes slower than what I did 22 miles 2 weeks earlier, you know. So just by the pacing alone, you know, and keeping it consistent, I was able to put in a much better performance.
Right,
you know.
Right, awesome.
So that was it. That was the first marathon, you know, delighted, tears of joy, you know, at the end of it, and you know, a real, like I say, a real seed had been planted, you know, because
so from that point onward, it's like, I'm a runner. I'm gonna do this.
Well, yes, it was in my head that I was a runner and I was going to keep.
So it wasn't like, okay, I'm done. What's next?
Well, I'd love to say that's what happened, but it didn't. I went over the line, the Dublin City Marathon, and I didn't run again for 8 months. Not seriously.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I jogged for 2 or 3 miles, but no, I just said, right, that's it. That's done for now.
I accomplished my goal.
I accomplished my goal. There it is. I'm going to take a break now, and I'm going to come back again. Because don't forget, the evening before, the hour had changed of the Dublin City Marathon, so it was dark in the evenings again. And I had gone through a full year of getting myself out there, getting out the door.
So
I was tired of it. I was like, right, give myself a break.
So how did it happen that you got back to running?
How did it? I came back. It was like that. In between, I met my wife, and that means I spent time with her at the start.
Of course,
as women do dictate.
All right. The training goes out.
The training went out the window, so it actually took a while. I went back running while I was in Dublin. All right, I kept it going. Probably, like I say, about 8 months later, I started up again. But it was more just keep it going, 5 milers, maybe a 10 miler, just to say I can still do it, and there was no trouble doing it. It was fine. But it was really when I moved out of Dublin and came back down to Kerry again, and
all right,
it almost opened my eyes again to, like we say,
much nicer setting. You're not in a concrete jungle.
Exactly.
No cars, and
you don't have to stop.
Fresh air.
You don't have to stop at the traffic light to let the cars go past and then start running again. You could pick a line and run it. Pick a road and just keep going and keep going. And it's fresh air, like you say, it's greenery. It's just that little bit extra that the city restricts you in. You start seeing that, and you're kind of going, I'm going to start running again. The opportunities here. And again, I started very slow. Just tipping along. Like I say, a couple of 10Ks here, 10Ks there, and started training with a couple of mates. And,
Was that the point when you joined the club?
It was before it.
Okay.
It was before the club was in the Stole, so I'd moved down to the Stole, and I started kind of running on my own initially. Then a friend of mine saw me and said, "Oh, I'll try that," and he ended up, being ridiculously faster than me. In no time, he's again a natural born athlete. But the two of us did run together for probably a year, and then finally we kind of said, well, we know there's a running group down in the Stole. Let's go down and see what they're about. And of course. Once you go into a group setting at all, it's it's tough to go back on your own, because that group mentality of there's always someone there to run with. There's always a bit of cracky day. The miles pass so much easier when you're with someone, I'm a big advocate of it. Now, there are times you've got to take it away too. You've got to go out on your own. You've got to have your headspace. Like I said at the top of this, I'm a big advocate of getting that time on your own and running and even swimming. Going back to what you were saying, it allows you to just switch off and think, have your little epiphanies and deal with life's problems while you're doing it.
So from that point, we fast forward how many years?
You fast forwarded now to about 2007. So you've gone from 2003 to 2007 when I started hitting back again, and probably then 2008 when I joined the group.
Okay. So we are right now 10 years since that time.
We are.
Right.
We're about 10 years.
And how does it look like right now? You have a number of marathons. Kind of fast forward to the present day. I remember reading one of your comments on Strava, and I presume that all the listeners understand and know what Strava is, unless if you're into running. It's like, we just done this training marathon. All right. So right now, where you are now, marathon is not something that you're training as this big goal. It's like, I'm just gonna do these marathons to train for some, more important marathon that you're looking at the time and some other events.
I suppose looking at the way especially the last 3 years, and I'll try to summarize what's happened there. And you and I have been talking about it over the time, and really, it's only when you look back in it kind of makes sense, But whereby 2 years ago, I was chasing marathon PBs, and in doing that, I probably ran, was it 14 or 15 marathons I ran that year, and almost every one of them was a PB, one after another, just PB, and I was.
What's your PB?
3 hours 8 minutes at the moment.
Right, compared to the first one was
3 hours 51.
Wow, almost an hour quicker.
You've got 40 minutes or 40 something minutes there, so. It's a nice one. I mean, when I went back running, when I did my next marathon after that, which was 5 years ago actually last week. The Tralee, the initial Tralee International Marathon. My goal was to break 3:30. I was at 3:31 on the day, but you know, I broke 3:30 almost straight away afterwards. So I was able to come down quickly to 3:30, and then I've been working away since on that. But I suppose, like I said, 2 years ago, it was really a case of just attacking marathons. Like you say, there was no focus on anything more than marathons. And I've always found as well, even as I progressed along over the last 10 years of running, you know, we started with 5Ks. We do 5K races. You know, they were tough. You know, they're fast. You know, and everyone will tell you a 5K is tough because you're just flat out. But you get used to them. Then we moved up to 10Ks. They're tough because they're double, you know, and they're that bit longer. But you get used to them too, you know. And you get to almost a point where you won't get too much more out of your performance at that. If you keep doing 10Ks, you'd have to be going to really specific training.
So then you're just going marathons. You know,
yeah,
if it's not marathon,
it goes to half marathons. Then I suppose we took on, and again they're tougher again. But
just for the benefit of our listeners, what's the marathon distance?
Marathon is 26.2 miles.
Okay,
just around 42 kilometers.
Okay,
so
half marathon is like half of that.
Half of that, absolutely. 13.1 miles, and was it 21.6 I think kilometers. So. Like that, you just progress up, and it's like anything. It's like a fear in life. The only way to conquer it and to get used to it is to keep attacking it head on. Yeah. And I suppose like that, we all went through it. We all started with the 5s, got used to them. So we go to 10s, get used to them. Halves, same thing. And then we went on to the marathons. And like I said, 2 years ago, it was attack. Don't give yourself any break. Just every marathon, and they were coming every 3 or 4 weeks, you know. It was attack, see how fast you can go, you know. And it was great. It was brilliant while it lasted. But we all got tired at the end of the year. We were just exhausted.
Of course. After a season.
Exactly. After, even though I'm saying that the marathon season, you know, the downtime is actually the summer, if you believe it. It's when the least amount of runs are there, which is probably makes sense considering the heat. You know, it's a lot more humid in Ireland to be running around, you know, than winter. And
and you know, obviously this is very Irish specific thing.
It is.
You know, like it's hot in the summer, meaning 17 degrees centigrade.
Like 17 degrees is fine to run in when you're in Spain, but not in Ireland. It's nasty, you know. It's you know, you're catching your breath, you're perspiring ridiculously, you know. You've taken a lot more water, you know, which in itself poses its own problems, you know, for watching your intake. But you know, so I suppose going back to it, at the end of 2 years ago, you know, I had a lot of marathons done, and like you were saying, you know, I was getting to the point where all of a sudden marathons, you know, I'd broken it. I knew I could run a marathon, you know, easy enough, you know, and dare I say the pains and the aches would last half a day after a marathon rather than the, you know, the half a week that's normally associated with them. And but we all made a conscious decision that we would focus more on the longer runs, the ultra marathons for last year. And that was a bit of a cop-out on our behalf, because it allowed us to stop the fast and slow down.
Kind of go back to the roots and go for the distance. Just go back a bit,
yeah. But it should have been more controlled looking back on it, because what we did was we slowed down. We didn't keep any speed going whatsoever. And then we kind of let ourselves eat a bit more, and you know, if we're going to be doing ultra marathons, you're going to need a bit more bulk in the body, and you know, you don't want to be eating your fat, you want to have a lot of carbs. And for the group of us that were there, we all found ourselves just slipping back. But none of us took ourselves to task in it, because we had justified it. We needed it for the longer mileage, and it was just sheerly because we were tired. You know, we were sore overall from the year before. You know. Yeah. So we went out, and last year, like you say, as it came up to training marathons, you know, because you're running ultras, you need to go out and you need to run a marathon on a Saturday morning, but at a slower pace. Yes. You know. So there was a few last year. There was the Connemara 39 miler, which was just batshit crazy. You know, we had 4 seasons in one day. We went from 5 degrees to -5 degrees in the real field within a minute. You know, which was crazy. I mean, if you saw the DNF, and I actually, for any listener out there, look up the Connemara Ultra DNF list from last year, from 2016. And
what month was it?
That was in April. Start of April.
Right.
It's amazing, absolutely amazing amount of people that didn't make it.
With hypothermia and all of these things.
Absolutely,
like minus 5 is a serious thing.
It is when you have the wind factor that was there. That
you're sweaty and you're wet.
Absolutely,
and that's gonna suck that heat off you out of your body like in no time.
I'll put it to you this way: in an ultramarathon, you have to have your food stations there. So we had them every 3 miles for the last last 4 of them, probably the last 12 or so, 12 or maybe even 15 miles. I would have to get my bag and give it to the girl who was on the station and say, please open my food, because my fingers didn't work. It was that cold and that extreme out there. But I mean that race was just something beyond. But I suppose going back to it then, the training for that involved a couple of 30 milers, and what you call it, going over the marathon distance, which none of us liked to do, because the year before you wanted to get something for running a marathon. It's another notch in the belt. It's a marathon, it's an officially one. Give me my medal, give me my t-shirt, and I can go home. Now we were running marathons for fun. You're kind of going, oh, well, where does this finish? So but yeah, there was a lot of long distance running involved in it.
And what is the longest run that you completed?
Training or distance?
No, in general. Distance.
That was the 24-hour, the one that happened last September.
24-hour.
Yeah, that was just done, officially just under 105 miles.
Under 105?
Yeah.
Okay.
In 24 hours.
But you done some 100 miles as well?
I did, no, I didn't do 100 miles, I've done 100 Ks.
100 Ks?
100 Ks, yeah. So
right.
I did, actually I've done a 100K race down in Cork McSharry, I've done 2 52 milers as well.
Right,
right. Which, the 52 milers, they're nice. They're a nice ultra distance, we'll say, because even in the 39 miler.
And is that's a challenge that pushed you to go like, oh, we're gonna go over the marathons and we're gonna
it was,
try
but that's
more.
just it. It's the great unknown. You've conquered 26.2. What's next? Again, we'll go back to me standing in the street in Dublin after a 3 mile run. Back in 2003, going, maybe I'll go down this street. It's just history repeating itself over and over and over again.
I had the pleasure to witness your 24-hour run. That was insane. That was an insane event. I presume that the do not finish list was also long.
You'd be surprised.
Because there was an option, because there was in the park kind of running not circles, laps, not circles, laps. And so I suppose the people were just walking and they just take a break, and so there was really no requirement on the distance rather than on time.
Absolutely.
So then you could take a nap or just walk or just do whatever, because it was 24 hours.
Yeah.
And there was a few like you who were actually, okay, I'm going to go for distance as well.
Yeah, we're going for it. Yeah.
So that was over 100
miles. Yeah.
100 miles.
Actually, in fairness, out of the, I think it was 45, approximately 45 for the 24-hour event, 10 people got over the 100 miles in it.
Oh, right.
Which is a good return, for that kind of an event. And a lot of them were close-ish, we'll say, and then I'd say the majority were within 20 miles of it.
Yeah. All right. Awesome, Mike. Listen, so there's a lot of about your history and what you're doing, and obviously for benefits of our listeners, I have a few questions that might be in the back of my head, or some listeners may be interested, and I don't want to sound like I'm ranting or doing anything like that, but I think it's only fair to have you here and being able to answer to me and to our listeners. So what I think, and I'm genuinely interested in your point of view, there is a lot of talk about, and a lot of people who take on running for, again, I'm doing air quotes now, getting fit, right? So in your case, it was kind of different because you had a goal of actual marathon. So you kind of, let's say, approached this from this athletic perspective. Yep. But there's a lot of people who are just overweight or obese, and they say all right, what am I going to do? I'm going to go running, right? Yeah. Because it's it's easy. You need a pair of runners, and you just go ahead. You don't need the gym membership. You don't need the training. You don't, all that stuff. And there is a lot of advocates for that. So let's get running and so on. So And my view on this, this is really damaging and not really good for people who are after really some other goal, right? My goal is to decrease my storage body fat. And so what I would ask you to respond to, like in my opinion, this is probably the worst way to do that is running. And my argument is like, first of all, it is incredibly slow progress in losing weight through running because you're kind of don't have your nutrition element. And also you're really working a lot in your aerobic space. So if you really want, and obviously we know if you want to lose storage body fat, your energy expenditure needs to be bigger than your energy intake, right? TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, versus TDEI, total daily energy intake, and so on. So it's much easier to achieve that with high intensity training, which takes you hour or 45 minutes every 2 days. You increase your metabolism. So the following day after intensity training, you know, whether it's a high intensity training, whether it's circuit training, whatever you name it, right? You name it. It's intensity training. The following day, your metabolism is up. Even if you're sitting on the couch recuperating, you're still burning more calories. Your energy expenditure is higher. So it's much more effective and quicker. On top of that, it's kind of easier to keep that discipline, especially in the winter months, like you mentioned, right? It's rainy, it's miserable, it's dark, you know, it may be some safety issues if, you know, if not that you know, get robbed, you may be hit out a car and so on and so on. So it's much easier and healthier to go to the gym, or maybe do it even in the house, you know, just go ahead and crack at 50 burpees, right? You do your high intensity training. So that's a much better way of losing storage body fat and getting, in quote, fit. Plus, with all that baggage, with running, it's kind of as easy or easier to injure yourself, especially when you're overweight. And this is another element that not many people realize, that running is actually technical sport. And it's something else when you're 20 something, you recuperate fast, you just go at it, right? And like you said, even if you had your small micro injuries, you don't really feel it, you recuperate fast. Now, if you're talking about 30 something, 40 something overweight person who starts running in hope to decrease the body fat, it's probably the least effective and hardest way to go about it. So that's my view on running, not as a sport for running, but it's like, okay, right? And this is this element, okay, you go running and the only thing in the mind is like, okay, when I will be able to stop doing it because it sucks, right? My goal is not to get a marathon or crack on the miles. It's like, oh, right, I just want to start. And that is a lot of people not going to accomplish their goal because they don't see the progress. They're getting injured in the progress. It really sucks, and it's not a good way about it. So that's my view, and I think that I would like to hear your opinion on that.
Yeah, I suppose there's two things there. There's two veins I'm getting from that. The latter being, like you say, how you would approach like that, the high intensity kind of a increase, you know, to basically to increase your metabolism to make sure that you're burning that energy more efficiently. That's one side of the question, you know, how best to do that. When it comes to running to get fit or to lose weight, I'm pretty much 100% behind you in what you're saying there. I agree with you. It's not the way to lose weight. Okay, it's put out there. It's the same as the Hollywood movies. Get down there and give me 10, you know, or give me a few sit-ups, you know, and get a six-pack. It doesn't work that way. You're absolutely spot on, and I'm sick to the teeth of telling people the same thing about running. No, and I can give you an example from our own office of one of the girl's husbands who is currently in the vicious cycle of getting fit by running, and that vicious cycle is get out there, like you say, throw on the shoes. I'm gonna get fit, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and it'll be great. And they get injured. They are invariably going to get injured. They are. No matter what happens, as you say, it's very technical, and a lot of people aren't made to run.
Yeah, and that actually is classified as an impact sport.
Yeah, absolutely. It's huge impact. It's you are going to get injured no matter what happens. I get injured, and I have to recuperate, and I have to foam roll and make sure things come back again.
Yeah, especially when you're running for 24 hours non-stop.
Absolutely. But the trouble is, your vicious cycle kicks in here, Tommy, that you start off great, you've got this great idea that you're going to start running, okay, albeit for the wrong reason, but you start running and you get injured. What happens when you get injured? You sit back down, okay? And in the back of your mind, you then start associating pain with running, and you stop doing it. And you start associating pain with exercise, and you just shrink way back in, and all of a sudden it's easier to just open the fridge and get another snack than it is to go out and do something. Now, and that's it. That's where it comes, and that's why every runner hates being injured, because the fridge becomes, the hinge becomes a lot looser in the fridge when you're sitting at home and not concentrating on the next run. But you're dead right. When it comes to losing weight and getting fit, there are much easier, much better, much more efficient methods of doing it. Running definitely isn't the one. It's a supplement. You can definitely incorporate some aspects of running
as a cardio.
Exactly, as a cardio, and even just to get out there. And anyone who starts running, anyone who's overweight who wants to get fit, anyone who starts running anyway, you got to stop. You got to walk first.
Yes.
Start walking. Get your body used to it. Get you a longer walk a slower walk for a longer amount of time, to me, is much better than a 15-minute run. You don't even hit a fat burning zone. In a 15 minutes.
Exactly. You need to go for like 45 minutes to actually initiate the process of fueling your, I think it's called ketosis.
That's right, yeah.
To initiate the process of actually fueling your body through the fat.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, anything below 45 minutes, you're just feeding your muscles with the glycogen that you have in your muscles anyway. And then you come back and then you eat because you're, so just adding.
And unfortunately, people associate a good workout with the amount of sweat that's on their head. You're going to sweat anyway, Really and truly, like you say, it's the internal. Forget the sweat. It's the time in the road. It's, you would feel burn. You ask someone to go out and run or walk for 45 minutes or an hour, they're going to tell you it was a lot tougher than running as hard as you can for 15 minutes, The 15 minutes, you'll find you're back in again. You'll know about that walk, And again, because of the impact nature of it, even the walking part of it, getting out there, if you want to lose weight, number one is nutrition. Okay, number one. Step away from the fridge.
Do it in the kitchen.
Yeah, absolutely. Get away.
Or at least start with the kitchen.
Yeah. And they do. They're hand in hand. I thoroughly believe, you got to start burning off to what you call, like you said, increasing the metabolism. You can do that with exercise. Put in some programs there. You've got to get rid of the crap. Got to get rid of the sugar for number one. Start eating that little bit healthier. And stick to it. Fine. People are going to go away and go to birthday parties or whatever. And that's fine, but stick to it as much as possible. And the trouble again is when people fall off the wagon nutrition-wise, they seem to just lay on the ground after it, as opposed to saying, right, that's fine, that's done, I can't do any more about that. Drive on. But nutrition number one. Personally, like I say, I found from my own weight loss, it was more around swimming and cross training that I got it. Like you said, that little bit, the higher intensity. The running was just something that I enjoyed.
So in other words, you got fit before you take on running.
Absolutely.
So to say, it's like,
and it was probably hand in hand while I was doing it, but I was definitely fit before I started running. I know if I had tried it, that's the way I would have ended up. And like I say, I can give you parcels of information and point you in the direction of plenty of people who I've seen this happen to.
Yeah.
As part of the running group that I'm in, we see newbies coming in every year. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. I want to get fit. I want to start running. Well, that's great. Now start slow. Here's a program. Here's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
You meet them 2 weeks later. They're running harder and faster than they ever have because all of a sudden the energy's there.
Yeah.
They're in a routine. They're feeling great. The adrenaline is pumping. And 2 weeks later, where are they? They're not at training. We're not. Oh, he's injured.
Yeah.
And probably 50% of the time they're gone. You don't see anything.
And especially that this is the repetitiveness of the long run.
Absolutely.
I was reading the article by one of very famous coaches, Martin Rooney, and he was also writing about getting fit, and the question was like, what does it mean, and what sort of fit you mean, right? Because really, how our body is built is more built for sprints, and then again with sprints you have higher intensity. And with higher intensity, it's it takes less time.
Yes.
So you kind of don't have this prolonged impact that you're impacting your body. And if you look how the marathon runner is built and how the sprinter is built, right? You look at these two guys or girls. It's like, okay, which one is fitter, right?
Yeah.
So. And then he proceeded to say like, okay, when you even look at how our body is built, right, the huge triceps muscles to kind of work the arms and legs, like a huge quadriceps. You don't for the prolonged run, right? You don't need the quadriceps muscle this big. It's actually holding you back because you have to fuel that big muscle for something, and you're running for I don't know 3-4 hours. You don't need that. Thing is built for sprint, for the rapid expansion of the energy in a moment. Boom. So I suppose this is takeaway, and I don't know actually if I'm surprised that you agree with me on that, but I suppose what's coming out of that by all means go into running, and we all can hear how excited you are about it, how awesome that is, but do it for all the right reasons.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise you're gonna be miserable. Because if you think I'm gonna lose weight, I'm gonna be fit, and I'm gonna be nice looking, and you want to do that through the hours and hours and miles, no, you're on a path to failure, my friend. Because you're not gonna make it. Your results will be slow, and you're gonna take time, and you get injured, and you're gonna all do these things.
You gotta be able to, again, like that, when you're in the mindset of getting fit or losing weight, you gotta have the ability to be, like you say, almost on the cuff, do something. Like get down the floor, do something. Like get the heart going. If you're waiting to go outside, you're going to start putting it off again. It is really coming back to what you're saying there. You're doing it for the wrong reason. You know, if you're running, fair enough, use it as a part of something else. That's fine. If you've got a goal of running, similar to what I had, and a love of running, then you start moving out of it to, okay, I love running, I'm going to run, But people ask me to say, they make statements that I'm super fit. I'm not super fit. If you put me on a football pitch right now with the guys and asked me to turn 90 degrees at speed, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But
you're kind of specializing in certain discipline.
Well, that's exactly it, yeah.
Because if you get a guy from a football pitch and it's like, okay, go run for 24 hours or 100 miles, he's
not going to do it either. But which one of us is the fittest?
Well, it means, what does it mean?
Exactly.
Who's fit, right?
Yeah.
You can see a big huge power lifter who's lift like a absurdly huge weights, right? And then you say like, okay, like now we need to catch that bus over there, run, right? Who's fitter? When? So what does it mean? I'm getting fit, and that's
again, fit, fat, thin, good looking, whatever. Are they all just Hollywood acronyms that are stuck onto us? That we pick up a magazine and we're told you have to be like this, and this is how you're going to do it, you're going to run. And dare I say it? And
there's a lot of agenda behind that as well. Like, oh, you go into running, oh, you should do this and that and whatever, and then it's like, there's again all the wrong reasons. So be aware of that, people. Listen, what would your advice would be? So if somebody really wants to get into running, right? So we establish, if you want to get fit, whatever that means for you, there are better way of doing it, or at least you need to figure out what that fit means to you, right? In case fit means to you that you're able to run a marathon and you're really in a long distance running, because I think that's what we're talking about, effectively long distance running. What would you recommend? Where to start? For the person, maybe not like hugely overweight, but also, like an average Joe Blow. I said like, I'm going to do long distance running. I think I'm going to like it. What would you recommend? Where to start? How to exercise? What to do before you actually hit the road? And once you hit the road, what to do there from the perspective of your experience and many years of doing the sport.
Again, like that, before you actually hit the road running, I suppose there's a few things there. You've got to fall in love with the idea of running. Okay, like I say, you can't be afraid. You can't have an excuse in your head that will stop you from running. Okay, so like I say, it's raining or it's windy or something's going out there. You've got to surpass that. Okay, now that's done two ways. It's done with your own head, and it's also done with getting in with a group. Okay, so first of all, you need training buddies. Okay, before you even start. Okay, physically, you're probably better off starting, like I say, walking. Even walking the beach. Somewhere where there's less impact on the feet.
Like a brisk walking.
Exactly. I mean, we're not talking about just a sneak around the place, and just a dawdle around, We do that anyway. We do that day in, day out. It has to have effort. It does. So you're looking at a brisk walk, like you're saying, again, on the sand where it's less impact. And you've got more resistance in the sand too, so you're actually doing a bit more than you think, It's tough enough to walk on the sand. And over time, and again, it's all about repetitive of this. You need to do it a couple of days a week. And for a time, you want to be out there for an hour, no less than probably an hour at a time, where you're doing this, and build up the muscles. Again, have someone by your side, someone that will be there, not to push you to go, I'm going to be faster than you, but to have someone there that you will always go to. Definitely get that in there.
I always, in that case, I will mention, like, just be careful on that. I remember one story that years ago, one of my coaches in a gym, in a powerlifting / bodybuilding gym, told me, that stuck with me, kind of thing, that a lot of people who start doing, in that case, going to the gym, but I think it's universally applied, start with a friend, they usually not gonna make it, and that because that friend gonna demotivate. So a lot of times someone is just demotivating you. You start going, you're like, okay, let's start going running or to the gym or something, right? And you go in, and then, like, you would go, but then guys, I'm not today. Okay, I'm not going because you're not going. And then, as opposed to motivate each other, it goes all the way around, demotivating. It's like, all right. So what he said, like usually the people who start going on their own, they keep going because they maybe find somebody who's already there, who's more motivated. And that kind of draws them into that. So that's motivate them, right? Rather, like, if the two buddies comes in or two girls comes in, they're usually not gonna make it because they're gonna make it. So that's I suppose I would say, like, just be careful. If you're kind of know that you have a motivation issues and you have another friend who is also maybe not exactly disciplined person. Having that person with you, we're gonna do that together, may have a different effect than you really would hope for.
You nearly need to be the person of least motivation within the whole lot to succeed in it. But I suppose that when I say have a person with you, the way we work as a running group, we all meet at a certain time. Every time.
But you're already in the club, so have a lot of people who are already committed to what they're doing.
Absolutely, but like that, find a group. This is the thing. If you're starting, find that group. There's nothing that stops you from going out on your own. But if you notice someone there, and be it a random person, a different person every night, so be it, you go out with them. Now, it's going to be tough to get people on the beach or something like that, but, so be it. But definitely start walking, start brisk, get used to it. All of a sudden, you never know, you break into a jog, Again, it has to be slow. People who think they can go from a standing start to a marathon are doomed. Okay, they will fail. I'm sorry. You're the oddball if you don't. If you get through a training program to a marathon, fantastic. I know I told stories about the guy that ran the marathon with me with tree training. He ended up inside getting a scan 4 days later. He didn't walk properly for 6 months after it. Okay, he did serious damage to his legs. So that's just the way it is. You've got to start slow. Okay,
and build it up.
And build it up and build it up and build it up. You also have to put goals in front of you, okay? So, and realistic goals. There's no point in saying, I'm going to do a half marathon in 6 weeks and then the marathon in 12. You got to be looking at your 5Ks. A 5K maybe 3 months down the line. Couch to 5K is a great opportunity to get this start as well. They're out there. A lot of parishes have them. You know, there's a huge body of people doing them. It's a great introduction, and it'll tell you without too much, you know.
Are you really into it?
Exactly.
Is this what you
Is
really
this what
love?
I want? Is this it? You know, there's no pressure on it. You know, everyone's of similar ability there. There's going to be nobody flying off in front of you. You can go in a safe environment, and usually the Couch to 5K groups are so good, they keep you enclosed until the last day, until you do the 5K. You know, so you might go loops at the park or loops or a field or somewhere where it's nice, it's safe, it's a what you call it. You know the track, you know what you're going to be doing, and like you say, you can get a feel for it. You know, and then you can build from there. You know, but it's all about pace, as with any long distance run. You know, it's a marathon, not a sprint, as they say. It's pace. You got to pace yourself. Be slow, build it up, build it up, build it up. And here's the thing: after a while, once you get used to doing this build up and the slower kind of pace and approach to it, you look back a few months later and realise that all of a sudden, you know, you've got the ability to do it.
Yeah,
you can do these.
Especially the progress in the beginning on any sport is huge.
It's
once you're into that, then when you start struggling,
you're
hitting plateaus and all that.
Yeah.
But initially, it's like Mike. So that's maybe you can tell also a few things about technique of running and kind of speak to the fact that really running is technical sport. A lot of people think that all right, running, like, you know, we all run, we all can run, we should run, and so on. And on my other podcast, I had one of our colleagues who's doing triathlons. He's accomplished triathlete, and his response was very, very interesting, because he said, like, really the only thing that we can do, like, as you know, as born creatures, is swimming. That's the only thing we can do. Like you know, like a baby born can swim, it can't run. Yeah. So in fact, saying like, oh, everybody can run and can walk is not true, because we have to learn to do that, and it happens that we're doing that in many cases wrong. In fact, especially through our environment and through all the, you know, shoes that we're wearing and all that. Our foot is really not working in the way nature meant it to work, with all the tendons and all that. It's kind of suppressed through the boot, to the shoes and all that. And that kind of translates then to running, that in fact most of the people don't have a technique. They don't know how to run. And that kind of leads again to what you say, to injuries, because then, you know, it's something else. You not really have a proper form in running, but you're running, you know, once every month when you just miss the bus. Yeah. If you're getting into the, you know, routine of doing it 3 times a week, 4 times a week, you know, hour, 2 hours, that's when the injury comes. So, so can you speak a little bit about and talk a little bit about the technique of running, and what is the best way for people who want to get into running, to get a proper technique, how to look at it, where to seek help, and so on.
I suppose just to start there, when it comes to technique, and technique really is a very personal thing when it comes to running. You know, different people will have different running styles. It's a bit of a journey, I think, Tommy, of how you can break it down over time. You will not get your technique right. You can't just write out a document and say, this is your technique. Run it. You have to learn by feel to a certain degree. Now, like I say, going back to going and get your gait analysis done, you know, you can get technical stuff done that way.
Some basics
done. You know, they'll check you. They can check moles of your feet and give you inserts, you know, to try and straighten you up. I don't know whether that's,
but this is kind of
counteractive, like you say, against the natural form of the foot.
But this is kind of like a bike fit. You do initial bike fit and you're cycling, and then 2 years later you get more flexible, more fitter. You need to do another bike fit, because then you're a different person. And this is what you're saying, that your technique will evolve.
It will,
as you keep pushing and you keep getting better.
And I can only speak from my own experience in this, and the way my technique has changed over the years, because I can watch the members of my group. Their technique has changed, but completely different to mine. You know, some of them have done different things. Some of them, like I say, have invested in a different set of runners, a different type of runner, or like I say, bits and pieces. I suppose I found, and again, I can only speak to my own personal experience in this. I found that, as I said, my overpronation was probably there from a young age, because I had a tendency to fall over in shoes, we'll say, just to go in them. And I did find that as I used more supporting shoes over the last couple of years, my requirement for it has gone down. It's kind of corrected it a bit, okay? It's still there now. I couldn't run in a neutral runner because
But your tendons are getting
they're
stronger.
getting
Stronger when they were weaker, and
absolutely.
all that.
Now I had to go through a lot of pain. I started initially in Asics Kianos, actually sorry, in the GT 2160s, but they only lasted that one marathon. I went on to Kianos then, which were the highest support shoe, and they were fine. They kept my foot in place, but I found then that as I was getting a little bit better, my technique was getting better, they were overcompensating. Okay, so I had to trash those. I had to get rid of them, and I went to Amphibian King in Dublin, and they fitted me with a different pair of Asics, which were a little less more.
Is this like either they did the fit of the shoes?
They did the fit of the
or
shoes.
Or is it like they? So are they like taking shoes from the shelf and say, okay, that's gonna fit you, or are they taking shoes from the shelf and then they're doing some adjustment to actual shoes to match your foot?
It depends. That's your orthotics that are going to kick in there. Some places do that. They will, like I say, and some of my running friends have orthotics. So they have just off the shelf shoe and the adjustment in as well to suit them. I don't have that. Like I say, I think I was lucky in a sense that, the day I was up in Dublin, it's probably about 4 years ago now, we just went in there. I was looking for a new runner, and this guy put 10 pairs of runners on me. He made me run around the block where they were, videoed me, watched everything, and we got the closest shoe.
It was like a proper fit.
It was a proper fit, and luckily at the time he put me into GT 2000s, Asics GT 2000s, and they fit like a glove. They really did, and they were fantastic. Now you got pains in your knees, which you always do with a change of runner. You have to go through an initial period, but it was very quick. Right. I'm talking about 2 weeks, and I was running better than I ever had before. But I did find outside of that, and that's more technical. You can get that done, and that's kind of an evolution. And I would tell people who are running as well, as expensive as it is, experiment with shoes. Just because you find a runner that's good for you now, it doesn't mean that it's going to fit you in a year's time. Things will change there. So it's something to be aware of for the listeners. Experiment with them. Don't be afraid to take a chance. If they're no good, you can sell them secondhand again. People will take them. Other than that, techniques around it. Breathing is a big thing. It's massive. It's absolutely massive. You can get techniques off the back of a matchbox if you want. Again,
something I heard is like, you want to run faster, move your arms faster.
That's true. Yeah. If you to open your lungs, they do say that. What you call it, even when you're running up a hill, keep your elbows in tighter, and it'll stop you from waving all over the place, and you'll be able to go a bit quicker up there.
So again, this is something I can get once you're running in a group, right? So in a club, once you see people who are more experienced, you can say like, okay, hey, look at my form, look at my, do you think? I said, oh absolutely. Yeah, man, you wobbling all over the place. You should like you say, you get your elbows tighter.
Absolutely.
You should do X or Y.
You've got all these techniques. Just an oddball one that I tried myself last year was to do a 3-2-3 run, which is essentially you breathe out for 3 steps, you breathe in for 2 steps. Okay, and the idea behind it is that you are finishing your breath out on a different side of your body each time.
All right.
So you're utilizing the whole body, and it equalizes the lungs and the capacity, the whole lot. It was fine. It was. I don't know. I don't know whether it helped me or not. If anything, the thoughts while I was doing it kept my mind off any pain I was under, or any struggle I was doing. So maybe it worked from that point of view. At the moment, I'm exercising more belly breathing, where I'm completely expanding the belly, using the diaphragm to to breathe rather than the lungs themselves. And I find that much more efficient. It's tough to do. It's not natural. I'm hoping to get it natural.
Well, again, it will. Like I said, it will become natural, because that's actually natural way of breathing, because that's how child is breathing, right? Children breathing this way.
Yeah.
And then gradually we get more stressed and we more clenched, and that's where we start
breathing from the middle. Yeah.
Exactly, kind of breathing using only half of the capacity of what we
Absolutely.
have, because your belly is just kind of tight all the time.
So yeah, like that, I started that, but going down to that region now, and it's only really this year. Technique with running is, you can do whatever you want, but you have to be able to hold it. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is where I think it's essential. You got to get a strong core. Okay.
That I was wondering that, and
Yeah.
I kind of missed that question when I asked, okay, how to prepare yourself for running.
Core work.
And core is like a base for everything,
Absolutely.
regardless whether you're running or
Absolutely.
cycling or hill walking or you're doing martial arts or doing powerlifting. I don't care.
Yeah.
Your core is the basis. This is what keeps you
Absolutely.
together, right?
Yeah, it keeps you up okay, as you build your core, your fatigue you'll be able to deal with it a lot better.
Yeah.
You know, like I say, it's when your form collapses.
And your posture again.
Your posture,
it keeps
absolutely.
your posture.
But don't forget, when your head goes down, your airwaves close.
Yeah.
You know, everything starts falling in on itself. And that
Your
core,
neck get tight.
everything just goes. If you can keep the core, and dare I say it, I hold my hands up, I've neglected my core over the last while. Even when I started running, my core was ridiculous. You know, I was strong as an ox, like that when I was swimming, doing everything. It was great, and I started neglecting it a bit, you know, over the last couple of years, and again last year with the ultra training, completely neglected it because I didn't need it, because I was just trudging along, and it's only since I went back, you know, like making sure that it was strong, getting that focused on again. This year, all of a sudden, I found that my speed has increased, my stamina at speed has increased, you know, and just general fatigue. It's absolutely essential. Now, again, I'm not going to tell people to go out there and start working hard on the core. That has to be started.
I'm gonna say that people go there and start working on your core.
Well, start working, but don't overdo it either. You know?
Yeah. Don't injure yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, pace at that as well. You know, unfortunately it's different speeds for different people, but it is without fail, and it goes back again to, you can't go running to get fit. You gotta get that core. You know, get the core, get swimming, do multiple things, but definitely core should be the starting point of absolutely everything there when it comes to technique.
Yeah, awesome. Look, we almost out of time, so just to wrap it up, what's next for you?
What's next? Next is Limerick in the 30th of April, so that's not too far away. So that's my goal for the start.
Is it the marathon? Is it the ultra marathon?
This is the marathon. Yeah, I'm not going next or near ultra marathons this year. This is a very, very focused year. I'm hoping, and I probably shouldn't say it in a recording because I'll be held to it. I'm hoping.
That's you know, we're gonna, absolutely. That's gonna help you to reach those
I
goals.
know.
I'm gonna, I said it.
Can't do a follow up afterwards. You know, I'm hoping to get around 3:05 in Limerick. Okay, and the initial goal is to break my PB there, but the way I'm running at the moment, I'm hoping to get down around 3:05, and then I'm doing a lot of pacing jobs during the summer then as well. Which will keep me fine, you know, it'll keep the marathon distance going. But I will be hoping then to have
just to make it clear, pacing is that you're running your marathon, but at a certain pace.
Yes.
So you're not trying to be fastest you can or whatever. You're just saying, like, I'm gonna ride with a certain pace.
Yeah.
So then this is for benefit, really, for other.
It's for other people, yeah. So that
people.
you
That's what you said. It's a job.
It's a job, yeah. That's exactly it. But it's a handy job because you get a free marathon.
You have your training marathon
done, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, it's fine that way, and like you say, keeps you going, you know, and keeps you interested. But throughout the summer, then I intend on doing a lot more focus training to try and get to that 3-hour magic mark in Dublin next year, or this year, sorry, in October.
Awesome, Mike. Listen, so we are all absolutely sure that you're gonna hit all your goals. We wish you all the best. Thanks again for being with us here. I hope that our listeners learns a lot. And if you have any questions, comments, please leave the comment on SoundCloud, iTunes, PodBeans, or Stitcher, or whatever you're listening to that podcast. And Mike, thanks again.
Thank you.
And we're gonna see each other and listen to the next podcast shortly. Thanks.